Hey there, everyone. I think it's time for a long overdue update. I guess a couple things. First, no, it didn't get finished last year. Though it did get put together and it did run, and I did get to drive it back and forth a little bit. So there is that. But yeah, and I guess a couple other things. I'll explain it. This will probably end up being a two-part video because it's probably going to end up being a little bit long because there's going to be a lot of things that I got to go through. Yeah. So let's see. And I guess before I start talking on the truck, the other thing is on a lot of my older videos I used to record on a Galaxy Note 2, and if I uploaded straight from the phone, it'd always upload onto YouTube on 1080p. Well, my new Note 5, I noticed the last couple videos I uploaded were 720p. So I gotta see if that's the phone or if it's YouTube. Because if it's the phone, I gotta figure out what's going on here. Because that's kind of ridiculous sounding that a 3-year-old newer phone can't upload 1080p, which is weird. So I'm recording this on the Note 2, and I'll upload this, and that'll prove whether it's the phone or if it's YouTube. Okay, moving along. Okay, so last year I had to watch the video to see exactly where I left off. But anyways, well, last year I did a little bit more work after I did that last video, obviously, as you can see, because it's, it looks like a truck again. But long story short, let's see, I quit working on it just before 4th of July weekend, and because I had to catch up on work, because I was working on this so much, I was falling behind with my business and stuff. I wasn't getting stuff listed like I should be as far as selling parts and stuff, and I had to at least take a couple-week break, which was fine, and then I was going to start working on this again. Well, a few big auctions, I bought several truckloads worth of parts, several cars, and that pretty much threw my whole summer out the window. So it took away the rest of the summer, and then in fall I bought a truckload of 9 cars, so that took care of the fall, and yeah, so long story short, I kind of got screwed there due to just not being able to work on it. But I worked pretty hard this winter, and now I got some garage space back, and well, the weather's trying to get nicer, but it's supposed to be balls cold here in the next couple days. So, well, anyways, so without further ado, I guess I'll get on with really where I left off. Like I said, I had to watch the old video, the previous update video, to see where I even left off. Well, start off with this. Ta-da! Let's see. I got the 454 in. I wish I had a light in here because I'd be a little bit nicer. I got the brakes juiced up. I got the clutch pedal juiced up. I got the steering connected. I was having issues with, that was a thing I was fighting. Let's see. I got what was that from? Okay, you got the end of the steering, the original steering shaft sticking out there. I made a washer that I welded to the end of the old steering shaft tube, or whatever you want to call it, so it centers the steering shaft. And then I got, what was that? It must have been it was a steering joint off old cab over Chevy. Because they got to tilt the cabs, to get access to the engine, so they got to have a special sliding sliding shaft that also has a knuckle in it. So the knuckle end welded right over to the old shaft, and then sliding end, which is kind of hard to see in this light. Oh shit! Kind of screwed here. I don't know if I can see from under here. I guess you kind of can once the light adjusts. Kinda, maybe not. Come on. Well, you kind of can see it. The sliding shaft is coupled together with like a tractor PTO shaft or whatever, and they're all connected by chunks of tubing, which then I welded the piss out of. And then I just used factory GM, the end that connects to a regular steering box through a rag joint, but it worked good for putting it right over the, fitting right into that yoke. And then, yeah, then bolting it right to the steering box. So in the steering box, you can see, got all the suspension bolted together, or the steering drag link bolted together, the pitman arm bolted in, or the the elongated adjuster that I had to make. And yeah, so got the shock absorbers mounted as well. If you can kind of see that. Not really, but they're there. Yeah, right there. So yeah, it's kind of a accelerated crash course on what I did there. Anything else under the hood here? I'm gonna have to run electric fans. I can't use this radiator because these are non-pressurized, so I'll have to get an aluminum one. Got the front clip on for the time being. I mean, it looks pretty nice. Fit and finish is pretty decent. There's a few things I'll have to adjust. Like, yeah, there's a little gap there I'll probably take care of. Well, I can't remember if I think they had a rubber gasket around them anyways from the factory. But, you know, I don't have to get too perfect with this truck. But yeah. So that's turning out. I guess I did a little bit of work in here. Again, the lighting's gonna be suck. I should have grabbed a light. Oh boy, yeah, it's dark. I finished welding the floor pans. Yeah, light sucks. Well, you can see the weld. I welded it up. There's no gaps. Put it that way. Yeah, you can't see that at all. Shit. Well, anyways, I welded up all the seams and stuff, so it's all welded up now for the time being. I'll have to get a light next time. Oh, there's my air tool. I was wondering where that went. Oh, there's my drill too. Haha. I was wondering where they went. Yeah. So, I mean, it ran nice. I got to get it timed in more yet, but I can't do that until I get a radiator hooked up. But you know, I had it running. And I tested out the new clutch. It went back and forth just fine. You know, I didn't have a gas pedal, so I couldn't give it any gas. But it did do the job. So the first step for this here is actually I'm going to start working on it today. Is I got to take the boom off here, which is just this one bolt here, and then this cup uncouples. Then I'll just cut the cables, and that'll be off, and then I could just unbolt or cut the bolts if I have to for the mast. And this could come out because this needs to be completely redone. I mean, I explained in the last video that this thing was rotted out bad. It is. It's going to be, I'm essentially going to be damn near rebuilding the whole darn thing is what's going to end up happening. And I'll quickly go through it for, actually for my benefit too, so I can watch this video and remember how some things went once I start cutting this shit apart. I guess the one thing I'll do real quick, cable starts there, goes up to that one, goes above, goes below, comes this way. Yeah. I took pictures of this too, so just kind of reference so I can reference that later when it comes time to recable that sucker. But anyways, okay, as far as the floor goes, now last summer I actually saw another truck identical to this. It was same thing. It was a 5-window Chev with the same wrecker unit. There was some slight differences, but overall it looked identical. And I saw that one there had originally a wood floor. I'm like, huh. Well, here, this steel floor is not original. I look underneath, it's almost all gone, but I could see there was wood underneath. And it took me a while to realize what the hell that wood would have been for, because it was going all the way across. And, well, it was the original wood floor. Which, how the heck they connected the sides to a wood floor is beyond me, but whatever. So this, really, for the most part, this steel plate is just sitting in here. For the most part. Bolted down via the boom and welded in a few places, but otherwise it's just kind of just sitting there. So what's going to end up having to happen is I'll do this back section first, and then I don't know if I'll continue cutting on and do it all at once or if I'll do half and half. We'll see. I won't know until I cut it apart. But I cut this old floor, get rid of these angle irons there and for the winches, get rid of them. Like I say, get the boom off. And you can see, well, it's kind of hard to see, but the boom angles forward because the wood rotted away, and there's no brace underneath where the boom sits. So it's like putting a lot of pressure. That's why it's bent down so bad. And this whole thing is sitting down a little low because almost all the wood's gone. A lot of the brackets that, hold like these bolts here go through and hold brackets to the frame. And there's, some places up to an inch gap or more because the wood's gone. And, yeah, so this whole thing is sagged down a little bit. So ultimately, I think when in relation to the cab, it'll end up coming up probably about an inch. But it's sitting there on there square though. It's not all tweaked or nothing like that. And well, I'm probably gonna have to try and get under here and see if the camera will have enough light so I can explain a little bit more. Oh boy, come on, adjust. No, we're not gonna do that. Well, crap, I should have grabbed a light before I did this. Well, believe me when I say, okay, it's weird how they put this together. Before they put this on, this wrecker unit, they put C-channel facing upwards across the frame. That was the first thing they laid down on the frame. Okay? And then they put the wood floor down. Or no, they would have put the C-channel down first, then they would have put the box, in other words, it would have been, the rest of the box down. They would have set it down roughly where it's got to be. Probably just sitting, well, in some places it'd be sitting on the C-channel iron. Then they put the wood floor in, which would have connected everything. How exactly, I'm not entirely sure. Well, it probably, worked fine when it didn't have rust, but it's got rust now, and wood floor ain't gonna cut it. As cool as that would be, you'd have to totally reinvent this then if you wanted to reuse a wood floor in the sucker. I mean, you could put a wood floor in, but it'd be just decorative. It'd be after the fact, I guess, but I don't need a wood floor. But anyways, so like I say, I gotta cut out the floor. Okay, after I get the boom off, I gotta brace up all four corners of this wrecker unit, so that way when I start cutting apart this crap, it doesn't, fall apart. So I gotta brace it up so it doesn't go nowhere. Not really lift up on it, maybe a little bit eventually when I gotta put new cross members in. But like I say, cut out the floor. Remove what's left of the C-channel. Half of them are rotted away, gone. And then I won't put C-channel in. I'll probably put in like either 1/4 inch or probably even 3/8 inch, probably like 3x3 tubing, because the C-channel is only about 1.5 inches or so tall. And since I'm not going to put wood back in this sucker, obviously, I want to raise the sides back up to where they got to be, because they sagged because the wood's gone. They've sunk because the wood's pretty much all rotted away. So I'll use tubing that's probably about twice as tall, so it'll be sitting on that, and it'll be strong, and it's actually tubing, not C-channel, so it can't sit there and hold. Not that I plan on driving this in the winter much, but that was a stupid design. They should have used tubing from the begin with. Well, yeah, they should have used tubing to begin with, though I don't know, did they have square tubing back in the 50s? Or the 40s, I should say. You would think they would have. But, yeah, do that. Then set the new floor into place. Tack weld it. And then as far as attaching it to the sides, see, the sides literally were just attached to the floor by sheet metal. Whether it be through welds or bolts or rivets. Not a whole hell of a lot, except for the rear. The rear was welded up a bit more, but as you can see, the bottom edges are rusty. So when it comes time attaching this to this, and then this to this, I will have thick sheet metal. Probably be, it'd be thicker than regular car sheet metal. It'd be, I don't know, what is that? Is it 3/32 or something like that? Because it wouldn't be an 1/8 inch, that'd be too thick. Although there'd be angle iron too. But anyways, long story short, cut this out, have it come down to here and bent over a little bit so it goes onto this. That or use angle iron. I haven't decided which. It'll be kind of, I'll know when I start doing it. I won't know exactly until I get to it, kind of a deal. You know what I mean? But yeah, then I got to rebuild this toolbox because this side, because they put this toolbox here, well, they covered the side, so it's 2 layers of steel. Well, what happens is, but steel between steel, it rusts out. So subsequently, well, that fender there, that's the wheel well for the wheel, even though it's square. That's pretty solid looking as far as the actual steel for that. Here, well, it's hard to see, but it's Swiss cheese there, and it's, well, completely gone there. So I got to take this toolbox off, which that's an original toolbox. It would have been put on there new when this was built. But I'll have to rebuild that, redesign it, rebuild this. Whew, yeah. It's just a lot to even talk about, let alone think that I actually got to do it yet. And then I got to redo this back panel here. I don't think I'm going to bother fixing the rust in the very edge of the bumper. Could have a little bit, but this back panel will definitely have to be replaced. And then, okay, so like it says, new tubing going across, new floor, and then use sheet metal and angle iron to connect the old rusty shit to the new floor, which at that point, then it'd be strong enough where I could then take this sucker off and I have it taken off and then flip it over, and I can finish doing any more rust repair, bracing, because in this back area especially, there's a lot of little braces and stuff. Because, you know, this takes the most of the weight of the truck when it's lifting and stuff and so on and whatnot, and you're pulling on it with a sling here, and there's a trailer hitch there. Well, it's a weird looking thing. I might change that out with something else, like a actual bar that I can actually have a ball hitch to, because that's more like a pinto hitch kind of, but kind of like the reverse. I don't know how that would work, because usually, like on a pinto hitch, usually this is on the trailer, and then you have the, yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what purpose that served, because kind of backwards. And then gotta get a sling too for it. But anyway, so like I say, I could take it off, flip it upside down, finish welding it up, and at that point, you know, especially since I'm not using wood in the sucker anymore, in theory, it should be stronger than it was new, really. At least I would think. Then at that point, I could do the cab corners, the inners and the outers, because they're bad, obviously. And I think because I'm doing all the metal work and it'd be the only thing left, I think I'll go ahead and do, it doesn't look too bad from here, but it's, the lower door is rotted out. So I think you can buy the bottom couple inches of the inner and outer. I think I'll buy them sometime here in the next couple weeks. That way when I do that, I can just bite the bullet, and it wouldn't take that long, and do these two right away. That way it's all done. That way I'm not screwing around trying to do it later and so on and whatnot. One of these, once that's fixed, so once this is done, then this is finished up with the rest of the steel work that I got to do. Then the cab can come off, front clip come off too. Then I get the frame, I take that and get the frame blasted, the wheels blasted, the engine and tranny blasted. Get the frame painted black, get the wheels painted red, get the engine and tranny painted Chevy engine red, which is actually an orange. I'm not gonna get too carried away with it. It doesn't gotta be perfect paint job, but it'll definitely make it pop, is what I'm trying to say. There we go. Then at that point, anything else? Well, at that point, it's basically reassembly then. So, let's see. Anything else? Yeah, I'd have, oh, yeah. And then I would probably, since the cab is off, I'd probably do some form of either like an undercoating or something like that on both the cab and the bottom of the cab and the bottom of the wrecker unit. That way, when you look underneath this thing, you really don't see any rust. It'll actually look all black, you know, which will make it look so much better, and it would increase it would increase it, because, like, not that I plan on selling it, but when it comes to like rat rods, especially high-end rat rods, they're crusty on the outside, but they look like they either look like a show car underneath, or they look damn near like a show car underneath. And I'm not gonna get it show car-ish look underneath, but it'll look the part, put it that way. And that really helps out the value on these things, and rat rods in general, is when everything underneath is nice and shiny or nice looking, not crusty. But you keep everything on the outside crusty looking, and then, yeah, that's... Anyways, so yeah. But, yeah, then I'll have the seat reupholstered. Probably have to put a new windshield in it. And then, door gaskets and stuff like that, and throw some gauges in there and get a wiring kit. And then a few other little on-end pieces. Throw it back together and be done with it. And the only thing then I'd have to go through the boom eventually, get everything working like it should, but that can be done at a later date. I at least want to be able to drive it, so yeah, I mean, it's a whole laundry list of shit to do, basically, but the majority of the work that I was describing is just invested in this, and while it's a lot of work, it's relatively easy work. It's just a matter of, doing it, right? And I got a brand new Miller Multimatic 200 welder that I got to get in here and hopefully maybe even get it set up today, if not tomorrow maybe then. But, yeah, so I think that really covers the majority of the bases, I think, right about now. I mean, I wish I could fire it up right now and let you guys hear it run, but that'll be a later video, a much, much later video, I guess. Well, hopefully it's not that much later. I mean, if I stick to my guns, because like I say, I'm caught up with work for the most part. I got a lot of stuff I can list while I'm not working on this. I'm caught up. I parted out several cars this spring already, so I'm good in that aspect. I got a lot of stuff listed. I got a lot more stuff to list, while I'm not working on this. So I could, other than a couple events coming up, I could work on this probably for a good month or so, unless a big auction comes up, which probably will happen. But, yeah, I'm going to go to town on this today. Starting today, I got the torchy right there, and going to make some quick work of some of this nasty shit. So, yeah, I'm trying to be realistic as possible, because it always takes longer than you think, but I think if I get a good 2 to 3 weeks worth of work into this bed, I should have it mostly done, I think. It might go faster than I think, might take longer than I think, but I think, like I said, with me putting a lot of time just into this alone, I think it'll go, because when I was working on this, which I was falling behind in work, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was going by pretty good. And this you had to be all methodical about, because you want it to fit good, and it's got to fit good, otherwise it's going to not work, and then you got to be methodical about how I did the swapping of stuff and making stuff fit, and this stuff here, it's all on the inside. It doesn't got to be perfect. It ain't a rocket. It's just got to hold together really nice and be strong. So in other words, cut, weld, drill, rivet, bolt, whatever, and rinse and repeat. So I guess really that I think covers most of the bases. If there's anything else I missed, well, that'll come up in a later video, I suppose, when I start working on specific parts. So yeah, like I said, this might end up being 2 videos. Oh, is she a little blurry? There we go. But yeah, well, thanks for listening to me ramble, I suppose. So see all you guys later.